afternoon and good evening to you. It's going to be of the tube. For today, I hope you're doing grand and all is well in your world. Welcome to another episode of How to Play John Frusciante. Today we are covering the song Scar Tissue, which is one of the best songs ever written, and it's a very, very special song for me, but that's another story for another time. So what I thought I would do, easy, is split this up into two different videos. So in this first video I'm going to teach you the main riff and the chorus and the structure of the song and some of the diddly-dums and how they come about and how to kind of like make your own. And then next week, or if I don't get around to it next week after, I'm going to teach you the Slane Castle guitar solos to Scar Tissue, and I'm going to talk about making your own guitar solos way. I thought I'd split it up that way. I think it'd just be a bit more digestible that way. It'll be a lot easier for me as well to kind of like, you know, to figure it out. Putting it all in one video, I think it would make it a bit too long. I think it might be a bit convoluted, so to say. Oh, that's a big word, Dave. Well done. Anyway, haha. So yeah, I'm going to teach you the kind of the main riff today. You know, and obviously the chorus. We'll talk about the structure and the rhythm of it and the feel of it. So yeah, let's get to it, shall we? Oh yeah, before I start, there's two different ways to play the main riff, and I'll talk about that in a bit. But let me teach you this way first. So yeah, let's get on with it. Okay, so main riff to Scar Tissue. The song itself is only 3 chords long. It's F major, C major and D minor. Sorry, there is an E minor in the song as well, but it's only a passing chord, and I'll get to that in a bit. So let's start the intro. The intro being this. So let's start there, and then we'll kind of move on to kind of like, you know, the verses and the choruses and whatnot. So the first chord is an F major, but you're missing out 2 notes. You know, I'm not going to go heavy into the theory, you're just missing 2 notes out, and it's this kind of interval that John uses a lot. And, you know, you hear it all the time in John's music, you know, from Snow to his solo stuff and all sorts. So, I say, the first chord you want to be doing, you want your first finger on your 8th fret on your A string, and then you want your little finger, and I'll explain why you will use your little finger on this in a sec, but you want your little finger on the 10th fret on the B string. So that's your first chord. Preferably thumb over the top of the neck if you can. You know, if you can't still get your thumb over the top of the neck, just keep going at it, you will get it eventually, it just takes time. So that's your first chord, and the rhythm you want to be going for is the 8th fret once, and then 10th fret once, then back to the 8th fret once, and when you go back to the 10th fret the second time around, you hit the B string twice. So once, twice, and the rhythm goes like this. I'll do it really, really slow. And then you go back to the 8th fret and then to the 10th fret once again. So hit it once. So 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1. And then the rhythm is like this. And super, super, super slow. So you can hear there's that kind of bounce and the feel there, and that's really important in Scar Tissue to get that kind of feel. So that's your first chord. So, and then what we do here is we then move to a C major chord. Again, missing 2 notes out. It's like a different interval, but again, I don't want to get heavily into that one. You know, it's not really important at this point in time, or ever really. As soon as you know how to play it, it's kind of like, you know, that you don't want to be thinking about that. You want to be just thinking about the feel of the song. So that's your first chord. Second chord, technically your ring finger is in position already, and that wants to be going onto the 9th fret on the G string, and your first finger wants to be going up from the 8th fret on the A string to the 8th fret on the low E string. So you're playing a C chord now. C major basically. So from 8th and 10th on the A and the B, to 8th and 9th on the low E and G. Yeah, it does sound stereotypically John Frusciante. It's wicked. I love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, so after this rhythm, what you want to be doing is you want to be strumming this C chord down. The top 4 strings, you want to strum the E, A, D and G strings. But your first finger wants to kill the A and the D strings. You don't want it kind of up like that, so you get this. Now you want it barring the A and the D, so they don't ring out, so you can strum those top 4 strings like that. So you got your first, you got your F, and then you go to move to your C, and then you strum those top 4. So one more time. And you can hear those dead strings kind of rake. It's that kind of can't stop kind of the left hand muting technique that John does. It just fattens things up, and you can hear it a lot in scar tissue. You hear that kind of sound. Okay, so after that you want to be sliding. You hit that once, and then once when you hit it the second time, you want to be sliding it as soon as you hit it to the 10th fret. So you want to be sliding this shape up to the 10th fret. So both fingers end up on the 10th fret. On the low E and the G. So one more time. So all of it through. I'll try and get that finger out of the way so you can kind of see. Okay, so that's it so far, and once you get to this D minor, you're doing the exact same kind of picking pattern as you did on the F. So exactly the same pattern again, so 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1. Hopefully that makes sense. But what you do to finish this little bit off to kind of go back into the F again is this. And you just basically slide your ring finger from the 10th fret on your G down to the 9th. You know, and forget about the bass note. That's not important right now. Because you don't need to play that. So. Okay, so that's it so far. Then you go back to your F. And then it's slightly different this time, and hopefully you kind of hear and kind of see what I'm doing. So second time around on the intro, he does this. It's kind of a shorter, well, it's not short. It's kind of the same kind of thing, but it kind of jumps, if that makes any sense. So it's instead of it's. It's slightly different, only slightly though. There's kind of like a rushed kind of feel to the second time through on the intro. So first time around is this. And then when you slide to that D the second time, you just hold on that, you don't do the picky pattern, and then you finish on this, which is you play your 12th fret on your G and pull off to the 10th fret on your G, and you just do that twice. But you don't pluck the 10th fret, you just hit the 12th fret. So you just play the 12th fret, so like that. I really hope this makes sense. So the whole intro, if I do it really slow, is this. Okay, so that's the intro. And then we're just into kind of like the main kind of verses. And in scar tissue, everything happens pretty much in twos. What do I mean by that? Basically, you go around the riff twice before it'll change order. It'll change to the chorus. So you'll do this riff. You'll do that twice round. And on the second time around, when you get to this D, you will change to the chorus. So let's talk verse quick before we start talking a bit more about order. I'll kind of throw that in as we go. So when you get into the actual kind of verse of Scar Tissue, it's the same pattern. But this is where you add the kind of like, you can add like all these little twiddles in. But again, I'll talk about twiddles in a bit. For this point in time, let's just keep this kind of as is. So you can kind of leave that gap there. It's the same picking pattern all the time. You know, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1. And you just kind of leave that gap there to add the little twiddles, which again, I'll get to later on. I just want to cover the bare bone stuff first. I don't want to get ahead of myself. And then we change to the chorus, which is... I'll teach you the way John does it, because it's quite cool. So the first chord is an F major on the first fret, so you can kind of see it's just a power chord. First finger is on the first fret on the low E, ring finger is on the third fret on the A, little finger's on the third fret on the D, and your middle finger is on the second fret on the G. And it's not uncommon for John not to play the B and the E strings when he does it. It's not really in there, so the B and the E strings can be muted by your first finger. You can play them as well, but John varies. Sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes you can hear the B and the E, sometimes you can't. So just play around with it as you see fit, really. So that's your first chord. And then the second chord is a C major, and John plays it like this with his. That's thumb behind the neck, and this is still thumb behind the neck. So first finger now is on the third fret on the A, and it's killing the low E string. So that, you know, the tip of my finger is killing the low E string. And then my ring finger is barring the D, G, and B strings. That triad there. And be careful not to get the high E, because it won't sound very nice. And John does this, and the C is like a passing chord, really. It always is. It's a very, very kind of quick change kind of chord. So that's how John plays the C. And then once you've played that, you slide your first finger to the 5th fret on the A string, and then you bring in the rest of the D minor, which is ring finger on the 7th fret on the D, little finger on the G string on the 7th fret, and middle finger wants to be on the B string on the 6th fret. And this is the thing John does a lot, where he does those kind of things, where he'll play the bass note first and then play the chord. So the whole thing, hopefully, you know, and the rhythm's this. That's definitely not it, Dave. Good gravy. So really, really slow. So hopefully you can kind of hear it. Kind of goes to a vocal melody, really, with the Birds Will Share This Lonely View bit. It kind of goes with that, really. And it's just really, you know, nice and relaxed. Oh no, that's another thing too, is your right hand, wants to be nice and relaxed for playing Scar Tissue. You can dig in on the solos, which again we'll get to next week. But for the riffs and the choruses, you want a really kind of light hand. John isn't hitting the guitar hard in Scar Tissue at all, really. He's hitting it very, very lightly. Oh, and John's thumb comes over when he goes to the D minor as well. So it's behind the neck, over the top. So that's the chorus. And once you get to this D minor, you actually hit the C major going back down. So it's the same chord. So the whole chorus really slow is this. more time, really, really slow. Yeah, so that's the chorus. It's, you know, it's really simple. As I say, the whole song is basically just 3 chords long. So the whole thing together from the verse is this. I'll try and do it really slow. And to get back into a riff, John does this. And he plays this note, 7th fret on the A string, it's an E note. So from that D, and that's how he walks that back in. And this is where the E minor comes in. So yeah, so that's the verse, that's the chorus. Again, it's pretty straightforward. There's not a great deal of kind of like, you know, thingy there. It's just about the feel of it and the flow of it, so to say, which, like I've spoken before with John, he's got a real nice kind of flow to his playing and a real nice feel. That's really important. Scar Tissue, like a lot of Californication guitar parts, is very simple, but the feel has to be right or it won't work, it won't flow, and that is so important, like Other Side and stuff like that. So that's the verse riff, that's the chorus, and that's the little passing note, the E, to get you back into the riff. So like that. So I want to show you the chords to the guitar solo now, because it's really important to know the chords to the guitar solo, and also how to get out of the guitar solo. Okay, so Scar Tissue has 3 guitar solos, but John, quite a lot of the time, wouldn't do the first guitar solo. He would just play the chords to the solo, and he'd either do a picky pattern or standing on his wah-wah pedal later on in the Stadium Arcadium era, or just strum the chords really lightly, depending on how he felt. Like at Slane Castle he does a solo, and a few other times I've seen him do solos at the beginning, but he mainly kind of didn't kind of do the first solo. I've never really understood why. Maybe it was just a bit too short, I don't know. But the chords for the guitar solo are D minor, which is exactly the same shape as the chorus, and C major, which again, exactly the same shape. You know, the song doesn't really go outside of those 3 chords, F major, C major, and D minor. It doesn't really go outside of them. So the whole kind of structure of the guitar solo is this, and John does this picky pattern quite a lot during the kind of 99, 2000 era. So it kind of does the 2 of this picky pattern, which is A string, D string, G string, back to the D string, and then to the B string, G string, D string, and then G string, D string, G string. Hopefully you can kind of see. So that's the picky pattern. I'll show you other ways you can kind of do a picky pattern as well in a minute, and I'll also show you some wah-wah pedal things when we get to doing the fun bits of Scar Tissue, so to say, which I've saved for the end. Let's get the basic bits out of the way first, then we can have some fun. Okay, so that's the picking pattern, and you just do the same thing on the C. So, you know, you can kind of hear it, and the solos vary in length. The first time is just kind of like once around this structure, the second time solo is twice around this structure, and the third time I think is 4 times around this structure. So, you know, your solos go up varying lengths, as we all know. Because we all know and love this song, don't we? So, that's the picky pattern altogether is this. The whole solo pattern is this, and it just repeats. So, this is the intro. Well, this is kind of the start of the solo. Intro, indeed. I'll try to do it really slow now. So that's the chords for the solo, and they're gorgeous chords to solo over. They're just really nice. You can create really lovely melodic lines, like like John does, in your D minor pentatonic. And I'll talk about that in another lesson when we start talking about the solos, because I want to dedicate a whole lesson to that, because it's kind of a lot. I need to go quite in depth with that one. So that's what the guitar solo chords are. And to get back into the riff, out of the guitar solo, the first one where John actually doesn't play it, he does this. So coming from going through the whole thing. He does this. So he hits the root note of the D minor, so 5th fret on the A, and then hits the whole chord. And then he slides that finger up to the 7th fret on the A string, to the E note, and then does the exact same thing again, E minor. And back into the verse. So the whole thing is like this. I hope this is making sense. I say it feels weird. I don't know. It feels like I'm not teaching it enough. It's weird. I don't know. Maybe I am. I don't know. Hopefully I am. Hopefully it makes sense, and it's kind of like, it's got the basic bits of it. So you got the riff, you got the chorus, you got the intro, and you got the guitar solo there. So another way you can do the chords to the guitar solo is this. Yeah, like I said, another way to do it is this. D minor, instead of being here, you're doing it here, down here. So thumb over the top on the 10th fret on the low E, and then that's also killing the A string. So the A string's dead, not played at all. Ring finger wants to be on the 12th fret on the D string, and your first finger wants to bar the G, B, and E strings on the 10th fret. And this is another chord that John would use, kind of do this scar tissue solo, and I'll also show you another one in a second, another little variation in a minute. So this one, he tends to strum really, really like. This is like more of a strummy one. That's kind of, this one is like a picky one. This one's like a strummed kind of one. So John would do this. And then to C major, which is thumb over the top on the 8th fret on the low E, killing the A string. Ring finger wants to be on the 10th fret on the D. Middle finger wants to be on the 9th fret on the G, and first finger wants to bar the bottom 2 strings on the 8th fret on the B and the high E. And you just come back to the D minor again, and that is just here. And you kind of hear that a lot in, sometimes when John does scar tissue. Same shape, but what you're doing is sliding that entire shape up to the 12th fret. And then back to the riff. So this one kind of sounds like this. So if you're coming out your chorus, say solo. So that's another way of doing it, and another way, which I have heard him do, not very often, but he has done this one. So what you're basically putting in here, again, is the exact same chords, D minor, but it's like a triad this time. So middle finger wants to be on the 14th fret on the G string. Your ring finger wants to be on the 15th fret B string, and your first finger wants to be on the 13th fret high E. And you gotta kind of leave a gap for picking, because the song's got 4 beats. You're only doing 3 notes here, so you gotta kind of leave that beat gap. So kind of like that. It sounds really weird, but trust me, it works, it fits. And then the C major this time is like this. It's basically just a D major shape, but it starts, so your first finger is on the 12th fret on the G, your middle finger is on the 12th fret on the high E, and your ring finger is on the 13th fret on the B. And John does this a lot. He will like move chords around all the time, especially songs like Scar Tissue and a lot in By the Way album. So. And then to get the E minor is you just play that G string and then play the whole thing, and then you slide this entire shape up to the 16th fret. So middle finger's on the 16th, your ring finger's on the 17th, and your first finger is on the 15th. Same strings. So it's quite hard to get back to that riff, but it can be done and it sounds really cool. So all the variations so far are this. Next one. And the picky one. So you can kind of hear how they kind of go, and it's really nice to kind of like just change it up from that one, to this one, to that one. It's really, really cool. And you're also kind of spanning the neck as well. And there was sometimes where John didn't do a middle solo either. He would miss out solo 1 and solo 2 and just do chords. And it's quite cool to kind of like, if you don't fancy doing that, you just don't want to do a big long solo at the end. It's quite cool to kind of do the first guitar solo with one of these kind of low ones. And then the second time around, the second guitar solo, start with one of these low ones and then move to that one. So kind of, say for instance you start with this one. On the second solo it happens again, so you can move it up now. And you can even combine them doing the the build up kind of. You can do all sorts. Literally, the song is your oyster. Go nuts, basically. So yeah, that's that. That's the guitar solo. So it just goes around those chords. You've got the little E minor as a passing chord back into the F major riff. So yeah, so let me talk about some of the diddly dum bits and some of the these kind of really cool little cool things that John would fit into the main riff that we've kind of left a gap for up till now. So let's talk about them. Okay, so I hope this lesson's making sense so far. I hope it's kind of like teaching you some things that how to play the song. I really do hope it's all good. So yeah, so that's the riff, that's the chorus, that's the solo. So now I want to talk about doing things like this. Which John does a lot. I have seen him sometimes where he obviously just doesn't want to do twiddlies and diddlies and diddly-dums, and he actually doesn't do anything. He just plays the riff. But it is fun to add them in. So let me show you a few of. Let me first talk about what they are and how they come about to be these little twiddles, because it's really cool. Because the whole song is in D minor pentatonic, D minor. You use your D minor pentatonic scale here. So 10th fret on the low E, 13th fret low E, A string 10th fret, 12th fret A, 10th fret D, 12th fret D, 10th fret G, 12th fret G, 10th fret B, 13th fret B, 10th fret high E, and 13th fret high E. So you got this scale. So you got your minor pentatonic there, but you can add these extra notes in. So this bottom here, the bottom shape here, you can add in the 12th fret on the high E, and you can also add in the 11th fret on the B string. And you can also add in the 9th fret on the G string. So it's basically just a major scale. You know, and it's F major, and that's its relative, that's D minor's relative major, but again, I don't want to talk about that. That's another video entirely, relative major and minor. Forget that. No, but try this scale out for scar tissue, making your own solos, but again, I'll talk about that more next week. But these little diddly dums. So, 10th fret low E, 13th fret low E, 10th fret A, 12th fret A, 10th fret D, 12th fret D, 9th fret G, 10th fret G, 12th fret G, 10th fret on the B, 11th fret B, 13th fret B, high E string 10th, 12th fret high E, and 13th high E. So I'll try and do it Django Reinhardt style so you can kind of see. So like this, really slow. And going back down. Okay, so that scale is all you'll need to know to do the diddly dums and the twiddles in scar tissue. And you can kind of incorporate all these notes in different ways. I really want, one that I really love is this, which I think is really cool, which is what he's doing is, and it fits in like this, it fits in a bit of a strange way. So what you're doing is you're sliding from the 10th fret to the 12th fret on your A. And then you go to your 10th fret on your D. And then you bend up your 12th fret a tone. So it's basically going to that note. But it's a really cool one. It's a Stadium Arcadium era kind of like little twiddly. But you can only do this second time around leading into the chorus. It kind of doesn't fit the first time around. So first time around would be, second time with the twiddle. So, or you can bend up or down depending on how you feel. So that's one of my favourites. Another really cool one is this. Like those kind of things. And what you're doing here is you're bending up the 12th fret on your G, and then you're either using your ring finger or your little finger to hit the 13th fret on the B. So like that. So you bend up, hit the 13th fret on the B, then hit the bent string on the G string again, release it, and then you finish up on your 10th fret on your G. And you can fit these in, it's quite hard to think out of context, so let me play the riff. You know, you can play around with this to your heart's content, really. It's mad. All those notes will work, so you can kind of go. Which is one that's on the album, which is 13th fret high E, 12th fret high E, 10th fret high E, and then you go finish up on your B string on the 13th fret. And it's kind of preferable to play the bass note. You know, you kind of hear the chord kind of still ringing out. Or kind of, you know, just let that bass note ring out, give the kind of the little thing context. Another one is, which is 13th fret on the B, 11th fret on the B, 10th fret on the B, 12th fret on the G. So, you know, so like that. And there's also, oh, there's millions. No, I don't want to go crazy because I could literally show you all these all day. But way to kind of like approach the twiddles is just think inside this kind of that kind of box, so to say, of a pentatonic. You know, and the diddly-dums never change. It's always a hammer on, pull off, and then finish up on the string above it. You know, you can use them all the time. You know, they're all over the place. They really are all over the place in those notes. So it's just a case of experimenting, finding what you like, listening to John play, and finding what, like, you know, little twiddlies and diddlies that he does and you really like he does. And also it's cool to kind of come with your own. You know, you can just prat around and mess around with that scale to your heart's content there. Ah, I put the blue note in. Ignore that. That wasn't supposed to be there. Silly Dave. So yeah, you can kind of prat around with that to your heart's content, really. It's just a case of just having fun with it. So yeah, that's a couple of twiddles. He also does this one. Which is super cool. It's quite hard to get in, but what he's doing is he hits the 13th fret on the B and he just slides it down to the 10th fret on the B. So, and he just kind of starts the riff again. You can also bend that up a half tone. You can also, oh, it's endless. It's absolutely endless. The little twiddles and the fills you can put into scar tissue. It really is absolutely endless. You can even kind of like put some Jimi Hendrix things in. You know, you can put those Jimi Hendrix fills in. But anyway, let me show you that one quick. Why not? So what I'm doing here is I'm borrowing the 13th fret on the B and the high E, and I'm hammering on to, I'm playing both strings, and I'm hammering onto the 15th fret on the B. And I'm just hammering on, and I'm not pulling off, I'm actually hitting the double stop second time. So hammering on, play the B and the high E, and then I go to this shape, which is first finger on the 12th fret on the G, second, your middle finger wants to be on the 13th fret on the B, and again, same thing again. Hammer on, and then you play the double stop, and then you can kind of finish up on a diddly dum between the 10th and the 12th fret. Or that. Finish up on the 15th fret on the D. It really is endless. The amount of things you can do with this song is absolutely insane. It really is. You can spend hours messing around, figuring out your own kind of little diddly-dums, listening to John, seeing what he comes up with. Because John would be... Scar Tissue was always a free-reign song for John. Well, most Chili Pepper songs are. I mean, most of By the Way wasn't, but quite a lot of Californication songs, especially songs like Scar Tissue, and they're kind of free reign for John to kind of like stretch and just kind of live in his imagination of kind of like and different melodies of what you can kind of come up with. And as long as you're in that scale that I showed you, every note you play will fit, it will work, I promise. So it's just a case of getting it in at the right time. That's key, and that comes down to the feel of the song, which I'm going to talk about in a minute just to finish this video on. So yeah, okay, so that's the verse riff, I've covered that, the chorus and the guitar solo, kind of chords, and I say you can do those, you know, all different places. Like I say, you don't have to kind of just do it in one place. You can do it down here, you can do that one down there. Gone through some of the little twiddles. Like I say, the twiddles are endless. You can just come up with them till, you know, the cows come home, which they never will in this song. Trust me, there's a million ways you can do little twiddles in this song. So last thing I want to talk about now is the feel of the song, because this is the most important part of this song. It's not really you know, what you can play the notes, but the feel of it is, and the right hand is very important. So let me talk about that. Okay, so to finish with, because I'm not going to talk about the guitar solos today. I'll do that in a separate video altogether, because again, that's I want to teach all the Slane Castle guitar solos, because a lot of people have asked for that, and that's going to take a bit to do, and I'd rather do it in a separate video. So, you know, this will be Scar Tissue Part 1, that'll be Scar Tissue Part 2, and also I'll talk a bit more about, you know, your attitude towards soloing over this song in that next video, because it's kind of important, really, to play in a certain way, play in a certain John way. So the key to Scar Tissue is the flow of it, and like I say, your right hand wants to be nice and relaxed. John isn't battering the guitar. It's not like Can't Stop, where he's, you know, really digging in. He's really gentle with it here. It's really a case of being very light with your right hand. You know, it's very, very mellow, and you will be picking the strings between your neck and your middle pickup. John would mainly pick around here. It's just a warmer sound. If you pick back here, it's just too aggressive. So you want to be around here. The closer to your neck pickup, the better, really. And the neck, it's warmer sounding. And you can kind of hear if I turn my volume off, you might be able to hear the pick of how loose I've got it in my fingers. So if I just kind of like, if I just don't play the strings and just don't play the notes, and you kind of just pick strings. You know, you can really hear the pick. It's very, very loose. You know, even on the chorus. You know, you can hear a lot of kind of like, you know, pick flap, so to say, almost. You can hear that kind of sound. So it's really important not to have a heavy hand. You know, you want your wrist to kind of like, you know, be really loose, nice and flowy. Not, you know, you don't want to be tensed up in any way. The moment you tense, this song's over. You know, it's nice and relaxed, and in the solos, you're playing even gentler. Yeah. You know, literally, I can move the plectrum around in my fingers really easily, because I'm not gripping it hardly at all in that bit. So nice and relaxed. Let it flow. Don't try and like be dead rigid with it. Don't dig in. It sounds awful. It's nice, relaxed, calm, soothing, mellow, warm track. And watch your tempo as well. It's best to play along to John, really, because then you actually get kind of first-hand experience of, like, you know, the actual feel of the song. And playing along with it is the best thing to learn this song best. You know, you're playing along with John, so you're basically mimicking him. And that is the way you'll get the feel better than just kind of like just sat down playing it. You need to play along with the song more than anything. Yeah, just nice, relaxed, nice and calm, and it's got to flow. Like I say in other videos, it's that feel and that flow that John's got. It's got to flow. If it doesn't flow, the song kind of stumbles and it kind of will stutter out. So just let it, you know, just don't force it. If it's not, you know, if it's not coming straight away, you know, it will eventually come. It's just got, you just got to take time with it, really. So, you know, that's kind of like the kind of last point of this song, really. Is very, very, very important. Is just let it kind of flow from your fingers, from your guitar. Just breathe. Just don't let it kind of like get the, you know, don't let it daunt you, so to say. Just like, you know, just let it kind of come naturally. Don't force it. So yeah, so that's it, really. Yeah, that's the verse, that's the chorus. I'm just going to play through a little bit, just to kind of like, you know, show you how to fit some of these little bits in. I'll try and do it really slow, and then I'll do it normal speed. And that's this video, so let me do that now. So, normal speed first. I'll do that same thing again. I'll do it slower. And I say, diddly dums go nuts, go mad. So I'll do it really slow now. So you kind of hear how to fit those diddly dums, and hopefully you kind of see what I'm doing. If I've missed something out, hopefully you kind of see what I'm doing, and hopefully it makes sense. One thing to note quick that just dawned on me, scar tissue, like I said at the beginning, does move in two, so you'll get two times round of that, 2 times round of a chorus, but before every guitar solo, the chorus will happen 3 times, so you'll go through that 3 times before the solo, and you can hear that anyway. You kind of like, you know, you can kind of pick that up as you go along anyway. But I thought I'd just mention it. Anyway, I've always wondered what it would feel like to stand in front of a stadium of people and just go. You know, can you imagine how that must feel? Oh, maybe one day. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself, fantasising that I might play guitar for the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this lesson on scar tissue. Just the rhythm parts, the riff, the chorus, and the solos. Solo part, should I say, solo chords. And hopefully next week, as long as something doesn't get in the way, I'll cover the guitar solos from Slane Castle and how to come with your own. If not, it will be the week after. I won't leave it too long, I promise. And yeah, I hope this has been informative. If not, you can all come around and beat me up later on. Yeah, have a great morning, afternoon, and evening, and I'll see you again for another one very, very soon. Goodbye now.